Barnaby the baby goat was a bundle of fluffy white energy. His mom always told him to stay close, but Barnaby's adventurous spirit often led him to the edge of the pasture fence, his little nose twitching with curiosity about the world beyond. One sunny morning, a butterfly with wings like stained glass fluttered just outside the fence. Barnaby was mesmerized. He wiggled under the bottom rail, his soft wool barely snagging, and found himself on the other side. His first discovery was a field of tall, swaying grass. It tickled his chin and smelled wonderfully green. He bounced through it, feeling like a tiny ship sailing on a grassy ocean. Next, he stumbled upon the chicken coop. Curious pecking sounds came from inside. He peered through a crack in the wooden wall and saw fluffy hens scratching and clucking. A bright red rooster puffed out his chest and gave a loud, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" Barnaby giggled. It sounded so funny. As he continued his exploration, Barnaby saw a big, floppy-eared dog sleeping under the shade of an apple tree. Its tail thumped softly against the ground. Barnaby cautiously approached and sniffed its nose. The dog yawned, showing big, friendly teeth, but didn't wake up. Barnaby decided to let the sleeping giant be. Suddenly, Barnaby heard a gentle moo. He peeked around a corner and saw a large brown cow munching on hay. It had kind, gentle eyes. Barnaby bleated a soft "baa," and the cow looked down at him with mild curiosity before returning to its meal. The sun was starting to dip lower in the sky, painting the farm in warm orange hues. Barnaby started to feel a little bit lonely and remembered his mom. He missed her warm presence and the familiar smells of their pasture. Following his nose, Barnaby carefully retraced his steps. He wiggled back under the fence, his heart thumping with relief as he saw his mom grazing nearby. He ran to her, bleating happily, and snuggled close. His mom nuzzled him back, her gentle warmth comforting him. Barnaby had had a wonderful adventure, but he realized there was no place quite like home, safe beside his mom. From that day on, Barnaby still looked at the world beyond the fence with curiosity, but he always made sure to stay close to his mother's side. Barnaby, a fluffy white baby goat with big, curious eyes and tiny horns just starting to sprout, stands at the edge of the meadow. He's looking intently towards the trees in the distance, his tongue adorably sticking out in concentration. A few other goats are peacefully grazing behind him. Barnaby is now venturing into the edge of the forest. He cautiously steps over a fallen log that looks much bigger than him. His eyes are wide with a mix of excitement and slight apprehension. He's still got that telltale tongue sticking out as he figures out how to navigate the obstacle. Sunlight dapples through the leaves above. Barnaby encounters a grumpy-looking squirrel trying to bury a nut. Barnaby, in his usual playful manner, bounces around the squirrel, his little bell, if he has one, jingling merrily. The squirrel looks annoyed, its bushy tail twitching. Barnaby, oblivious, is clearly having a great time. His tongue is now lolling out slightly in his excitement. The sound of the waterfall is getting louder. Barnaby comes across a group of colorful mushrooms. Intrigued, he tries to take a little nibble of a bright red one, but a ladybug lands on his nose, making him sneeze dramatically. His tongue flies out with the force of the sneeze, and he looks slightly bewildered. Barnaby finally reaches the Whispering Falls. The water cascades down moss-covered rocks into a clear pool below. Barnaby is mesmerized, his head tilted back, watching the water. He tries to imitate the sound of the waterfall by making funny bleat burble noises, his tongue wiggling in time with his attempts. Feeling brave, Barnaby tries to jump across a small, slippery rock in the stream below the waterfall. Predictably, his legs splay out, and he ends up with his bottom in the water. He looks surprised for a moment, then shakes himself, sending droplets of water everywhere. His tongue is sticking out in a "oops" expression. A butterfly with brightly colored wings flits past Barnaby's nose. He gets distracted and tries to follow it, his wobbly legs carrying him in a zigzag pattern. He bumps into a patch of soft moss and rolls head over heels, ending up upside down with his little legs kicking in the air. He looks slightly dizzy, but still manages to stick his tongue out. As the sun begins to dip lower in the sky, Barnaby realizes he's a bit far from home. He looks around with slightly worried eyes, though his tongue still makes a brief appearance as he ponders which way to go. He lets out a small, slightly shaky "bah." Mama Goat appears at the edge of the trees, looking relieved. She spots Barnaby and calls out a gentle "bah!" Barnaby's ears perk up, and his face lights up with joy. He starts wiggling his tail excitedly and runs towards his mama as fast as his little legs can carry him, his tongue flapping in the breeze. Back in the meadow, snuggled safely beside his mama, Barnaby recounts his adventure with enthusiastic bleats and gestures. He even tries to imitate the waterfall sound again, his tongue doing all sorts of funny acrobatics. Mama Goat nuzzles him affectionately, a knowing smile on her face. The other baby goats look on with curiosity.